Welcome to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It's 2 in the morning on the East Coast of the United States. I have no idea what time it is down and under, but it is time for Shiny Side Out with Dave and Mecky. So I hope you have your info helmet and tight for your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mecky.
I'm Dave. Okay, Mecky's connection's a little south of where it needs to be, but that's okay, because this is Shiny Side Out, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio. Believe it or not, that's what we do. That's home to fresh ideas. And your video is completely frozen. It looks like, kind of like a Monet, I'd say. I'd say it's a Monet. It's kind of, yeah, I'm actually going to take a screenshot of that. That's gold and make that my new thumbnail. So, let me continue. Buy some merchandise or donate if you like anything we say. Join us in the chat room and talk to us on air while we're on air in the chat room. You can chat. It's really cool. This is show number, believe it or not, Mecky, this is show number, and the drum roll, 693.
390 and 600.
Yeah, I should advise you never to bump the table. But that's all right. Tune into us online on your smart device and directly via an app or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. If you missed the last show, so did I. I really need to fix that situation by going into the archives that are free. Revolution.radio is the website you go to. Go there and you can download, which I'm going to do, download her shows in MP3 format. That old school thing where you can just binge to your heart's content. Mecky, who knew? Who knew? You did. We both did. That's right. And the listeners already knew. But that's all right. I don't keep saying it. So I'm broadcasting out of Duncan country, Mecky. Where are you?
I'm in the rock country.
That is fantastic. Good to hear. It's better than being in Fordau or Natanz or Efeshan. Mecky.
I tell you what, I've been listening to the Russians commenting, and what Putin said is, no, it's all still there. They might have struck them, but it wasn't wiped out. And I was listening to some experts on the thing. If the centrifuges were destroyed, it's quite possible, but again, Putin says no, whatever, doesn't matter. If they were destroyed, they're actually really, really easy to rebuild once you know how to do it. The centrifuge rebuilding is not the issue, right? The hardest bit has always been getting the fissionable material. That's the hardest bit when it comes to nuclear anything. So, but what is more interesting is that Congress didn't authorize the strikes, right? And if you preemptively strike another country, that's a declaration of war. And the declaration of war powers sit with Congress, not with the president. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. Interestingly.
Words.
Well, look, I mean, the president has supreme authority in my mind when the nation is at war, right? But to get to war, it does take Congress. And this is why, remember World War II? The United States...
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah, like it was yesterday. We used to have brown onions in our belt because the Kaiser had stolen all the white ones. No onions.
I got a funny story about
essentially, I bet you do. Thanks, Grandpa. The American people, and by extension Congress, didn't really want to go to war at all. They had no interest. I mean, the Americans after World War One had retreated to America, didn't take part in the League of Nations, weren't really interested in any of the European affairs at all. And then Pearl Harbor happened. And, America was under attack, which of course shifted public opinion. And Congress voted to go to war, right? Even in that situation, America under attack, Congress voted to go to war. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen here. Donald Trump went to war by himself. It's going to be very interesting to untangle all of this, right? We are 3 or 4 months now into his second administration, and it's actually I was thinking about this. It's the second coming of Trump. That's what it is. So that's what we experience. Experiencing it, the second coming, right? The second coming. Yeah. And well, I mean, the midterms will be telling for America. I'm sure something is going to happen there. But then, what's going to happen as well is, what will happen once the 4 years are over? What will happen at that point? And the answer is, I have no idea. I really don't know, because this is all over the shop. And Iran did warn America, as to what would happen, etc., etc. Now, there are 91, 92 million Iranians. The country is about 30 times the size of Israel. It's always misrepresented when they have the news reports. Israel is the same size as Iran. It's not. Iran is a huge country. It's bigger than Iraq. It's massive. It's really hard terrain. It's like, in many ways, Iran is like Afghanistan. So, where do we go from here? Okay, so America has carried out 3 bombing missions that we know, as Dave has pointed out, to those 3 sites. Yeah. Now, what next? What's Iran going to do? Are they still going to pound Israel? Are they going to start hating and pounding on the U.S. bases in the area? How will the other states in the area react to this? What's going to happen, right? Is the next step for Donald Trump now, okay, well, we've destroyed the centrifuges, right? We have destroyed their ability to make nuclear weapons. Good. Now, but bear in mind one thing. This is not coming from me. This is coming from the experts in the field. There was a treaty in place with Iran that Barack Obama had negotiated, which restricted the refinement of the fissionable material. Right, it restricted it quite severely, and apparently the treaty was working. Of course, what happened when Donald Trump came into power, he threw that treaty out, right? And the Iranians went back to work on, enriching uranium, as it were. So, he's the fireman that starts a fire, comes along with a bucket of water, says, "I saved today! Look at me! I've put out the fire that I started." What? Yeah. It's really quite amusing. I've worked with people like that in the corporate world, and this is another thing. Everything in this administration, Dave, is corporate. It's completely corporate. There's a principle in the corporate world, and this is true. It's never been articulated that I've seen, but it's true nonetheless. Maybe you're hearing it here for the first time. Whenever it comes to a decision, whenever you have to solve a problem, whenever someone has to actually do something in the executive layer, right? Like the management layer, give it 2 weeks. Give it 2 weeks. 80% of all problems disappear within 2 weeks. And you have to do nothing. In all my years working, right? And in the last 20 odd years, and I've been working with senior execs across the world and all kinds of things, right? I've never met a group of people so unwilling, maybe unable, but certainly unwilling to make any kind of decision. I've never come across anyone like that in my life. You don't want to upset they get paid the apple cart. That's something. We can't make apple pie, Not now. It's not the time for apple pie.
Well, that's it. We've called Uber Eats for the apple pie, so don't worry about it.
It's insane, though, Dave, and that's what I'm seeing here. I mean, of course, now we've seen that Donald Trump has decided to send the bombers in, right? But everything else that I've seen is always 2 weeks, or within 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be. I'm not entirely sure that the United States has thought this one through, in the same way that I don't think Israel thought through its attack on Iran either. It can go any which way, all right? It can go any which way, but do bear in mind that Iran has close links to Pakistan, to Russia, and to China. Okay. In fact, it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's part of the BRICS Pact. I think Iran is part of BRICS.
South
Africa. So there are a lot of nations there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. So they make up the bulk of the BRICS nations, right? And believe it or not, between all of those, that's the majority of the human population. That's the majority of the human population in BRICS, right? So if you want to go by numbers, just people numbers, then BRICS has it, right? BRICS is a powerful organization. Just looking at population numbers, okay? The majority of the human population is part of BRICS. So where does it leave us? Like I said, now are we going to negotiate with Iran? Because we have to. Because Iran knows how to make centrifuges, so they just make more. Well, we don't want that, right? The West doesn't want that, so we have to sit down with Iran and say, "Hey, look, we've knocked this one over. Let's have a new treaty. Let's work out what we can do here. Please don't make any more, nuclear weapons or weapons-grade uranium. Let's just put a cork in that and negotiate, right? Because if Donald Trump, and I can't say he won't, Dave. I can't say he won't. But if Donald Trump decides to go in and put boots on the ground, this is going to be worse than Afghanistan and Iraq combined. Do the people love the Ayatollahs in Iran? No, they don't. The people don't love the Ayatollahs. But they like the Americans less after all the sanctions and all the bombings and all that, right? So, but what will happen when we remove the Ayatollahs? And they've been there since the 70s. Remember that, please. They've been there since the 70s. It's been a long time. So let's say you remove the entire regime. All of it. Gone. Whoosh. Remember what happened in Iraq? Remember what happened in Iraq? Do you think this is going to be any better? Really? Really? Oh, my goodness. And there are people there that have nuclear capabilities. There's knowledge. What? Let's say the regime is removed. Let's say Israeli special forces, American special forces, SEAL Team 5, whatever, they go in, they kill all the Ayatollahs, they remove the regime entirely. Off it, it's gone. It's gone now. Done. Who moves in? Well, whoever's strong enough to move in. Whoever is strong enough, right? And now a complete unknown entity moves in. We don't know anything about these people that are coming in. They might now inherit nuclear knowledge, right? Maybe not the facilities, but facilities can be rebuilt, right? They still have got the uranium, right? So whoever is going to come in after the regime will be whoever they are, and they'll be strong, they'll be decisive, and they might be exactly who we in the West don't want to be there. So there are always consequences, and the law of unintended consequences states the worst thing that you can imagine will happen if you don't plan for it. That's exactly what we're looking at here. I'm laughing because we've been here. We've seen this movie. Okay, we know how it ends. This is not a good idea. Best outcome, Dave, at this point, and I shall close my tirade, is if Iran and the US get back to the negotiation table. Best outcome in my mind.
I agree. There's always time for lubrication. And sorry.
No! It's moving up, sir!
If you haven't seen Evolution, see Evolution. It's very funny. So, there is always time for negotiation. There's always time for that. There should have already been negotiation. But what are you negotiating? And who stands to lose? These are the big questions. And why should you listen to the US? The self-imposed, I'm not calling this out to be critical, but the world police. So imagine, because it's not imagine, it's imagine. Does my head in. Imagine if another country had done exactly what had just been done. Imagine if another country did it. Let's just pretend for a minute that it was China that did it. How would you feel about it? How would you feel about any country getting their facilities destroyed because they just wanted to join the big boys club, the nuclear club? How would you feel if another country did it? The reason why I ask that isn't to make anyone feel bad about what has happened. It's about thinking about what it means to be on the same side as the people who have just done this. So the US has done this to Iran. I'm familiar with the Middle East, and that there aren't many countries in the Middle East that like Iran. Most don't like Israel. Why should we be taking one side over the other? And I'm going to make this point about India. When India tested its first nuclear weapon, it was to the surprise of the entire planet. No one knew that it was developing the nuclear weapons. No one, even in their right mind, thought that they would want to do it. And it was captured on satellite imagery, just a happenstance thing, when they detected that a large explosion, possibly nuclear, had been detonated on the planet, and then was going through their photographs, found the actual explosion in their database. And they went, no, this couldn't possibly be right. Are you sure that's India? Oh, yeah, that's India, all right. Yeah, huh? And so, look, we weren't at a point then that we're at now. India doesn't appear to be the aggressor in any situation, to be honest with you, unless you're Pakistan. Then they're considered an aggressor. Pakistan in the same vein. Unless you're India, who really cares? So at the moment, my point is to think about what it would be like if another country had just destroyed whoever you are on the planet listening to this, your potential nuclear capabilities. It's only potential. They haven't made anything yet. They might have been really close. They might have been at 98%. But haven't we heard this for a very long time? That next week or tomorrow even, or right now, they might have nuclear weapons. We need to stop them. So one of your questions, Becky, was what happens next? What's possible here? And I raised this, I think, last week, and it was if the US is putting a bunch of machinery in the ocean right offshore, and Iran is now totally upset at their industry being destroyed, I think that it would take even a little .22 pistol being shot at the hull of one of those ships, one of the US military ships. And that would be enough for the greatest false flag that's ever happened ever, apart from something that didn't happen and was a complete lie, to bring the US into a greater conflict. Your point, Maggie, about the US boots on the ground, Iran is possibly one of the most naturally defended landscapes on the planet. Natural. There's mountains on 4 sides, and they're almost impenetrable. The effort that it would take to have to traverse any of those with heavy machinery, i.e. tanks, would be outrageous. It would take you a month to get up through the mountains and down the other side, and then the next mountain range, up and then down again. You wouldn't be able to continually protect them because, just like in Iraq, that terrain is impassable for the most part. There's only a few roads. If you started at one corner, they know where you're going to go. Just like in Australia, we've only got 4 roads from Darwin. We know where you're going. And you're going to take days to get to where you need to get to, so we can plan ahead and destroy you on your way. The only way Iran could ever be attacked would be via missiles, and that's the only way. Once you've controlled the anti-aircraft, then you've got aircraft, and then you could start to land troops in. It's very slow to land troops in to take cities over. So from a military perspective, I think the only option is, at the moment, and I hate myself for saying it, and that is your point, to negotiate. But negotiate what? It's all at your loss. If I'm Iranian, what am I negotiating for? What, to stop them bombing me more? So I don't get to ever create nuclear weapons? Yeah, but I want to be in the Homer Club. It says no homers. Who's that? That's Homer. It's plural. We only want one Homer in our club. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to pass it to you, Mekki. Go ahead.
Oh, no, look, it's a fair question. The thing is this, right? I mean, Iran says, well, what am I getting out of this? Now, the key point to understand is there was a treaty. Sorry?
They get a big naught, a big zero.
Oh!
Nilch,
well, they get what they get is not to get bombed anymore. That's one thing. It's like the school bully coming up to you, punching you in the face, and he keeps punching you in the face. And, okay, well, I'll tell you what, tomorrow you're going to give me the school money. Let's negotiate what we do here, right? Tomorrow you bring me your money and I stop punching you. That's the negotiation here. I guess. What did I win? Well, I didn't win. Well, I don't know I get punched in the face. That's good. No, but the key thing to understand
is they win, you lose. Yeah.
There was, well, that's how Donald Trump sees the world. But there was a treaty that Donald Trump promptly walked out on. That actually, according to experts, not my opinion, this is experts, right? In the world of nuclear armament, etc., it was working. The treaty was working. Iran did not enrich any material. They were not on the path to a bomb, right? And Tulsi Gabbard, I think, said there's no credible evidence that they are at the moment.
That's right.
And then she flip-flopped. Yeah,
she was snubbed.
I don't care what she says.
Yeah.
Trump says, I don't care what she says. I don't care. Well, why have her there?
Why have advisors are about? Advisors advise, and you don't have to listen to a word they say. It's like
that's the truth.
It's like the exec level at any company. The CEO can do whatever they want, as long as you said your bit. I'm good. Whatever. I'm not even going to try anymore.
At my of management, it's all about covering your behind. That's
covering.
So if I see something, I send like a quick email or a call or whatever. As long as I've got a paper trail, I've raised the issue, I've explained the issue. Here it is. It's beyond my pay grade. You better fix it. But if you don't want to fix it, that's okay. That's on you. I've told you about it. Thank you very much.
That's right. And then
you're right.
Apart from butt covering, the only other task in exec level is bunker creating. You create bunkers to protect yourself from other people's criticism. I love it. And then take pot shots.
And you have they do it. You have meat shields surrounding your.
That's right.
We have people I've seen in the past in the corporate world, people who are being hired into positions, fairly well paid people, for the single purpose of being a meat shield between the whatever boss they had and the rest of the world. So I said this to one guy.
Go on.
Yeah. I said to him, you know where you're hired, right? He goes, why? Well, you're the meat shield. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, so I explained it to him. He goes, oh, I think you're right. I know I'm right.
So the other one, Mekki, have you ever been in a C-level meeting and they've called in someone to read the figures?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know that the manager could have read those same figures, but then they'd be looked at as being the person who delivered the bad news. But now we're gonna get the staff member involved in who's gonna bring them in. Yeah, so it's like, hey, I've got enough distance on this now. I'm good.
But you're right. The key thing, and this is what we see in the Trump administration as well. The key thing is never to admit it's your fault. Never to admit that things could have been done better, or that someone else could be right. Right? That those are things that are completely beyond Donald Trump's mode of operation. He just doesn't operate that way. He never has. Ever since he teamed up with Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn made the Donald Trump we know today. If you don't know Roy Cohn, was a lawyer in New York, but before that he was actually part of the Warren Commission, and he made sure that the couple that sold the nuclear secrets to our enemies or were spying, they saw the electric chair. So he was quite a zealous American. But that's neither here nor there. But Roy Cohn did make Donald Trump. So what we're seeing is, look, Iran would have abided by the treaty if Trump hadn't walked out on it. But Trump doesn't understand international politics at all. He doesn't. He doesn't seem to understand how far his powers reach. He thinks he's a king. And And just one thing I want to say about his military parade. I'm sorry, but that was just terrible. It was a terrible military parade. It was awful. I mean, I've seen better carnivals. In Germany, when we have carnival, we have better Mardi Gras things. Even in Sydney, going down the street with more precision. These guys weren't marching. They were meandering along the road. These soldiers. I've seen military parades in Russia, China, in Europe, France, England, etc. And those people, they march. And they march with precision. It's quite awe-inspiring to see this. I mean, it takes a lot of work to actually get that good. I didn't see any of it in the parade that was put on. I think it's 2 weekends ago, right?
I have another.
Well, last week.
I got a point for that, which was, did you know that those tanks didn't have their rubberized treads put on for conventional roadway? They still had their metal treads, and they have already set aside something, I think it was 10-15 million US in repairing the road damage caused by the tanks in the parade. I know how much damage they can afflict on the roads, and you don't want it. I mean, not even in Moscow, Becky. In Moscow, you see those huge parades. Yeah, they have the rubberized treads on there, and it's in a straight line. You don't want to have to turn the tank because it'll just tear up the road like crazy. It's better than a digger.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the question then becomes why? Why would you do that? Why not put the rubber treads on? I mean, because they were squeaking. I mean, these
tanks make a racket. You can hear them from miles away with the squeaking.
Oh no, I know. But this was like sad squeaking. This was the squeaking of a wheelchair that's stuck. It was the squeaking of sadness. That's what it was. Okay, so the squeaking you hear in an empty parking lot when a person in a wheelchair, or a person in a Zimmer frame pushes a shopping trolley with one bent wheel. It's the squeaking of despair, Dave. It's the squeaking of despair. That's what it is.
Despair. That's it. That's funny.
And everybody. It is funny, but everybody looked bored too. I mean, hilariously. So anyway,
it did go for a very, very long time. And if your attendance, the requirement for your attendance, in some countries might just to stay alive, that's great. But in this one, maybe not so much.
I like that. You better show up and wave that flag. Wave it. More energy.
Frantically, or you don't get food for next month. Yeah.
No, but look, Donald Trump wants to have the supreme authority over everything. He doesn't seem to understand, or sorry, let me rephrase that. He doesn't seem to care, or he ignores the limitations of his office. In America, there are three equal holders of power. Okay, that's the president. Okay, that's one. You got the judiciary. That's all the judges in the courts, right? And then you've got the legislative, which is the Congress as well as Senate. So the Congress and Senate, they make the laws. They debate the laws. They make the laws. You know, a whole bunch of stuff happens here. Funding is sorted out. Then the president is the executive. He acts on the laws. You know, he makes sure. He puts a cabinet together, makes sure we can do everything we need to do with other countries as well. Or I should say, America can do what they need to do, not we. And then you've got the people that sit in judgment over it all, but they're all equal. There's not one is more powerful than the other. But what we've seen here is the legislative arm has abdicated all responsibility. They say, whatever, do what you want. So Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about Senate or Congress as long as he holds the majority there. Now, again, the midterms aren't that far away, you know. And the judiciary is actually has stopped him quite a lot, right? And sometimes he wins, but more often than not, he does lose his court cases by overstepping his authority. And the thing is this: he is going to be fine, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 years' time, let's say for argument's sake, everything is going to be fine. He's going to step back from power, and someone else is going to win, whatever. Then it's different administration. Now, he's going to be okay, no matter what the findings will be, no matter what history will say or how he's judged, he cannot be criminally prosecuted. Cannot.
Mm-hmm.
For anything he did as president. We've said this already. Supreme Court says yes. However, the same does not apply to his administration. So all the people around him, they are very much available for prosecution. Unless he pardons them all, right? And which again will raise a whole bunch of specters around pardoning powers. This is such a banana republic scenario now for the United States. I've never seen anything like it in a Western democracy. I mean, even Italy isn't as bad as this. Okay, I can't think of a European nation that is in this much trouble. Canada is not. Australia. I mean, we had prime ministers coming and going, but that was a different reason and. It wasn't anything like this, and there was certainly no military. Can you imagine the Prime Minister of Australia sending the military in a law enforcement capacity to Sydney? You now have soldiers in the street. Unthinkable. When I was young, before I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, every summer I would spend in Turkey because my family, half my father's Turkish, half my family is from Turkey. And I remember when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I was in Istanbul every summer. And then we would go to the beach for a little bit, and anyway, but we had to visit our relatives, my grandmother and my aunties and so forth. But I do remember military in the streets. Okay. The Turkish military had taken over the government because, it didn't work out or whatever, but there were people, or soldiers, I should say, soldiers in fatigues, with automatic weapons, and there were machine gun nests in certain locations, right? That was a reality for that. Now, Turkey is not a model democracy by anyone's standard, right? But that's where America is evolving to, or devolving, if you want to put it that way. It's devolving into military streets for a riot. Let's call it a riot. That is in a tiny portion of LA, and literally, if you look at the map as to where it all happened, it's tiny. It's probably if you look at it, Sydney, it would be from King Street, maybe to Goulburn Street, if that far. That's how far. Maybe not even that far, right? And it's not. It wasn't a huge kind of thing. It was funny. I mean, there's looting, yes, there was lawlessness, but the police had it under control, right? I mean, cars will burn out and here and there, but there were 5. They burned 5 cars, 5, not thousands. And LA was not burning.
Newsom actually did a back foot and confessed to requiring help for the trouble, and also being the perpetrators being prosecuted. I saw him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A piece of camera, which was it's a little rare for him to back foot on it, but he did. Because initially he was saying there was no problem whatsoever.
Oh, there was a problem.
Only in a couple of streets, I get it.
But there was a problem, yes. But I still believe, from everything I've seen, left, right, spectrum, anywhere, like different countries reporting on it too, I think that the police forces were enough to deal with it, in my opinion. Or at the very least, okay, bring the National Guard then if you really want to. Fine, okay. But there's no need for the Marines to be in LA. Anyway. But that's where this United States, that's where it's devolving to a president who wants to send the military, not the National Guard, not the police, but the military into American streets. He wants that. He wants to take power completely, right? I mean, in his mind, if he could take power and through some kind of emergency law or martial law, or whatever the case may be, some kind of statute. I mean, look at the laws his people are digging up. They're digging up laws that haven't been used in 150, 200 years, right? The Foreign Enemies Act, so we can deport people under. This was last used under Abraham Lincoln. Like, okay, what other laws can we find? Quick! No brown onions on the belt.
I think there's some more lines on the parchment.
Oh, look at that! I mean, and he did say he doesn't like the Constitution, and I mean, the United States of America, right? Beautiful experiment that was started in, for all intents and purposes in 1776, right? Where people didn't have a king. There was democracy. Now, was it equal and fair? No, not by any means. There was slavery. There was poverty. There was landed nobility. You can put it any which way you want, but they all existed, right? There were cotton plantation owners. It's the spectrum of human society, but it was the right step in the right direction, right? Where the Constitution and the Bill of Rights proclaimed these are the values we want to live by, and it eventually led to the emancipation of the slaves, right? And if you ask me, are we there yet? The answer is no, we're not. Okay, there's still a massive rift, a massive divide between African Americans and Caucasian Americans, or any brown Americans and white Americans. There's a huge difference, right? Still, and it's being exacerbated by this administration. So no, we're not there yet, but we're on the way. We're on the road. That's great in America. I mean, globally, slavery is still well and thriving. All kinds of slavery. All kinds of injustices. But America was always a beacon, right? I mean, I spoke about this last time. Now I looked at our shorts. And I mean it. I mean, for me, America was always an amazing country as a child and even as a teenager growing up. Anything was possible. I mean, democracy, the rule of law. The rule of law. It didn't matter who you were, right? The rule of law applies. Of course, we know that's not true. Now, I know it at least. If you're rich, then there's no law for you. Or you've got your own law, or whatever, or the law is whatever you want it to be, if you're rich and powerful. I mean, filthy rich, right? If you're a billionaire, these laws don't really apply to you, right? I mean, Elon Musk, Dave, through his money and influence and other things, etc., managed to go into the US government and stop all cases, all investigations into him, against him, into his companies. He stopped them by withdrawing the funding. He said, no, we're not doing anything anymore, thank you very much. Nothing to do with my companies anyway. I mean, it's incredible if you think about it. What? Wow! And the investment of $250 million was well worth it. Now, of course, can't help if he can't start a rocket and they all keep blowing up. That's it on him, but he had unprecedented access and unprecedented privilege to stop all these things against him. It's phenomenal. Even in the Banana Republic, it's never been that blatant. It's always, behind the back door. Bakshish. I've never seen anything like it. Elon Musk. But he's out of the news cycle, right? And ask yourself as well, Dave, the bombing of Iran, what news cycles is it preventing at the moment? What other news stories we're not seeing?
Yeah, it's a good point. Because that's what happens. That's how this world works. That's how the news cycle works. Whatever gets to the top is then drowning out any other news. So remember, we mentioned this during the week, and for those who didn't catch Plato's Cave, Becky, during the week, we should reiterate those things that we did in one of our shorts, Becky. It was one of yours, and that was about, say, UFO disclosure. Never happened. Well, what were the others? RFK.
Okay, JFK, Epstein, Martin Luther King, and 9/11. Big one for me, 9/11, right? And while there was a lot of talk about those things coming to light, UFO was another one, big one. Nothing has happened. I mean, the things that we have seen, Dave, and you know this, were heavily redacted. I mean, to the point where you ask yourself, why don't you just use black paper? Just use black paper. Don't use white paper.
Yeah,
and you have to ink out. Just
there you go.
No, just black paper. Just give me a sheet of black paper. There you go. And write something in white text
that says redacted on it, and that's it.
Yeah,
because that's all it was. It really wasn't anything, and it hasn't been anything new. Even Kash Patel was saying that, you know, the Epstein files, there's nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. And so each one of those, each topic, and look, we're still seeing the injuries revolving around something that happened a couple of years ago, still being discussed, which we haven't seen, and that's like a big pharma expose, because who knew what when, and who did nothing when they knew that something was happening without saying a word. 912, Mackie, 912. Because we can't say 9.
That's the real number.
That's right, it's the real number. That's right. So, are you in the chat room at the moment, Mackie? Can you see the chat room?
Oh, I am not.
There
we go. My bad. I'm in there. Oh, good.
You'll be there, and you can see an image that I posted that I can't say on air. Can you see that?
Not yet, but here we go. Slowly building. Yeah. Here we go.
Getting there. Don't say it.
Okay, here we go.
Don't say
it. Oh, yeah. That's funny.
So a friend of mine,
that's cold, dude. That's
so I sent to your WhatsApp. I sent two. That's one of them. A friend of the show. He makes he really struggles with AI to try and make things. I love his work. He always does a great job. Big shout out to you. And they're memes that you can't put anywhere. You just can't. You cannot. They're really funny. And it's like, you know how a comedian, Mickey, and I mention this a lot, where someone is trying to say you should cancel those people. And I said, why? Oh, because they're making jokes. Great. If they're not funny, they won't make any money. Yep, straight away. A comedian, when they first go on stage, tells a range of jokes to gauge the actual crowd. They need to gauge the morality of the crowd, what they laugh at, what they don't laugh at, in the first, couple of minutes. Then they know where they're placed. And sometimes you might hear a comedian say, oh, I went too far, did I? Because, they'll tell a joke and it falls flat. But everyone under their breath is laughing and not wanting to laugh openly because they'll look like they're a bigot or they're racist or whatever. It doesn't matter. So memes themselves, when we see them in everyday use in social media, are a way of comedy. They're a way of connecting to things, sending a message, understanding what something is, and the depth of it is the success of whether it was funny, wasn't funny, too soon. Remember the phrase, too soon, too new, too now? Right? Should you wait? How long should you wait before you openly declare that NASA, when I was a kid, NASA stands for need another 7 astronauts? So if you're a challenger, if you're a kid during the Challenger disaster, that's really, honestly, that's stone cold to say that. But you're kids and you don't really care, and you've got to take it in its perspective, in how, not who it can offend, but as a timestamp for the era. Whoever it is, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Even if it was a meme against me, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm happy to see anything. A friend of mine used like a screen grab of myself and put me in a situation which I thought was really funny. I would never be in that situation. I can't say it on air, but it was very funny, right? What happened, Mickey, to people's sense of humor? The embarrassment of you know what I mean? This era we're currently living through. I do hope we get through the other side, where we can then start to laugh at ourselves again.
Yeah, look, humor goes out the window when everything becomes a zero-sum game. Humor assumes that you can laugh at yourself, laugh at others, but laugh in general, right? Mm-hmm. And humor is an all-inclusive game where, you know, usually good comedians, they go across the spectrum targeting everybody because it's funny, right? Everybody does something funny. Everybody can be made fun of. But as soon as you have people in charge that view the world as zero-sum game, meaning if I lose and being made fun of, that's losing, right? Then you can't do that anymore, right? There aren't a lot of comedians in North Korea making fun of the leadership.
No.
Not many successful cartoonists in Russia that draw up, you know, funny pictures of Putin. I can tell you that. Oh, look, another one fell out the window.
And there's no Winnie the Pooh cartoons in a certain country.
That's the truth. That's exactly right. Now, in Australia, we've taken the unprecedented step in that direction as well, which I found astounding. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you make fun of a public figure. I mean, England is, or UK, I should say, is going that way. America is going that way for sure. I mean, Donald Trump says, "I wish I could stop these people making fun of me." He said that, you know, many times on
that's what our
on air. He said, "I wish."
As well. Said,
"I wish I could stop them."
Well, you know what? All the memes of me, and again, you can't.
Yeah, and exactly. And Donald Trump was recorded talking to someone else backstage, and he was saying, "Oh, you know, is it possible that we're going to have the leader of North Korea in Washington soon?" And Donald Trump goes, "Oh, look, anything is possible. You know, I like him. He's pretty strong. He's a strong man. He's strong. Don't let anyone tell you anything else. He's strong." And, you know, when he says something, his people sit up and listen. I wish my people would do that. That's what Donald Trump said. Mm-hmm. And that's what he wants. He wants to be a strong man like he perceives Putin and Kim Jong-un to be, right?
They're
and
all world
Xi Jinping, for that matter.
They're all world leaders.
Yeah.
And if he's a world leader...
Well, there.
He wants to peer himself. It doesn't matter whether our culture hates them or likes them, whether our culture thinks that they're doing the wrong thing to their people, because ours is doing the wrong thing to us. They're just levels. You might say it's a first world problem.
Yeah.
Our complaints seem very weak compared to some other peoples of other countries. I'm not particularly calling out, you know, North Korea or Russia or anyone. I'm not calling anyone out. But you have to just consider it and make sure that you understand your scale isn't their scale.
Look, and see, that's the thing, though, right? It's a slippery slope, though. So you're right. Our complaints are mild as of yet, right? Uh-huh. It's you can't do this. You got to get a slip on the wrist or whatever it may be, right? Whereas in other countries, you're quite right. You get shot. Or in prison for life or whatever,
That's
right?
And
you're correct, but once you start down the slope, once you start walking down that path, right? It's down. It's not up. It's down.
That's right.
You all of a sudden you go, oh, oopsie, and you slide. I mean, the Germans didn't go from a failed democracy, the Weimar Republic, into authoritarianism overnight. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. And it took a lot of fairly significant milestones, not least of which the Reichstagsbrand, you know, the burning of the parliamentary building, right, to actually usher in that age. And it took years for Germany to actually get to the I guess, the final outcome. Hitler's totalitarian Germany, where he had supreme power over everything, and everyone was terrified.
And
there was German resistance. People don't really.
There was, and there was a lot of parallel activity that all, like a baked dinner, all went ding and were blooming at the same time.
Yeah, 100%, and that's really the important thing to understand. So what we're seeing now, the signposts on the road to totalitarianism, to authoritarianism, to I guess Donald Trump's ideal scenario. Now, personally, I don't think democracy works. That's my opinion. Okay, we need something else, right? I mean, direct democracy. Our democratic model doesn't work, I should say, right? What we need a complete remodeling, reshuffling of our society and our civilization. We have to get rid of all billionaires. We have to redistribute resources to where they actually do the biggest good. The biggest good for the most people is my opinion, right? Does everybody deserve it? No, not everybody deserves it. Okay, and will there be problems? Yes, there will be problems, right? Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than what we have today. What we have today, we created the fascist capitalist society that we have today is almost unbelievable. The wealth that people have accumulated is beyond belief. Completely it is staggering. And you have millions of people, tens of millions of people starving, hundreds of millions of people living in poverty, not access to clean water. And yet we live in this world, we live in this bubble, and the news channels are giving us what they want to give us, because that's all owned by the billionaires now, right? Everything you see, except maybe us, believe it or not, everything you see, or people like us, is what they want you to see. If you go to a major news outlet, any major media corporation, it's owned by someone. Revolution Radio is not. And
that's right.
Places like Revolution Radio are not, right? Or at least not yet. So it's a terrible situation. We have to get out of it. We have to change it. And we have to come up with something better. Direct democracy. Technology exists to have direct democracy. We don't need politicians. We could be living in a post-scarcity society today. I know I keep saying this, but it's true. The technology exists. It's been hidden from us. It's been hidden from us for at least 80 years. I want to say longer, much longer, hundreds of years, right? But it's been hidden from us, and they want to keep us in this dark and dank and moldy and stinky cellar, right? They're going to treat us like mushrooms.
You've been reading my diary again.
That's all I do.
So you're absolutely right. So if we broke down direct democracy into either human-driven or AI-driven, like, computer-driven, where there was no politicians, maybe one spokesperson or something, that's pretty much it, to talk to any other country's spokesperson. If we were all living under or beneath a single entity that wasn't human, and then corruption is gone, I think the benefits to everyone could be, it sounds, I sound like an idiot, but I would say more fair to every person. I think, Mekki, the call you said, if you hit like $1 billion, that's it, or $200 million, you get a letter and it just says, thanks for playing, and then you're parked. You're incapable then of doing anything else in society. Done. That's all. You won. You won the game.
Yeah.
If it was more fair that way, because we're seeing a disparity. So from the 70s to now, you see the person at the front line and then the CEO, that their wages went like this and they were going up, and then suddenly the CEO's off screen. They're 10 to 100 times the frontline workers' wages. And for what? 200
times.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah. And so, the music's just about to start, to be honest with you, but I'm going to ask Mekki, believe it or not, this is the end of first hour of 2 hours of David Mekki's Shiny Side Out. When the music starts, which is just starting now, I want you to like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you ever see any of our videos, can you like and comment? Because we want to hear what you think. It's really important. And I've been putting out some reels or shorts, and if you recognize them, hit like, do share them with other people. We're trying to hit 1 million views. That's what we want. So we're more than on our way compared to what we used to be. But what we have to do, Mackie, what we have to do, we're going to be talking about human-animal hybrids. This is part 4 in the series, coming up in the next hour.
We'll be right back after this message.
See you then.